have an active shooter.
Let's go ahead and declare this a mass casualty.
Welcome to Active Shooter, a podcast that covers the whys, the hows, and the aftermath of active shooter and mass casualty events.
They have an active shooter in the building. A second call says they are being attacked.
I've been shot. 16910 means we got shots fired 4:15 at the Route 291. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
Thank you for listening.
You are listening to Active Shooter, a podcast that may contain adult themes, explicit language, and graphic depictions of violence. Portions of this show may be traumatic for those under 18. Listener discretion is advised.
This is raw audio that has not been edited in any way. While we remain true to our No Notoriety Pledge, the shooter's name may be mentioned in this raw audio. We wanted to ensure that we brought this audio to you in its truest form. Thank you for listening.
Just remain standing.
Miss, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You can put your hand down and be seated. Please lean in to the microphone and state your full name and then spell your last name for the record.
My name is Nicolette Machado and the last name's Miciotta.
Good afternoon, Ms. Machado. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. And do you go to school?
Yes, I do. I actually just graduated Florida Gulf Coast University with a major in criminal justice and minor in psychology, going back in the fall for grad school.
Okay. Where'd you go to high school?
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
And when did you graduate?
2018.
All right. I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And do you remember where you were during fourth period?
Yes, I was in Mrs. A's room, right across from the tennis courts. I don't remember the room number.
Okay. Do you remember the building number?
No, I don't. It was facing right across from the tennis court, okay. So when I looked out, I could see it.
Let me show you a little map. Maybe it will help, okay? I'm going to show you Stacy's exhibit Mark 2 and see if this helps you at all. If it doesn't, that's okay.
I was building 9.
Building 9?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right. So you're in building 9. So what happens?
Class started. We were doing a discussion. We had been in groups for the discussion. It was an assignment we were doing, and I hadn't felt well that day, so I had been texting my mom, telling her I wasn't sure if I was going to leave or stay or what I was going to do. I ended up deciding to stay because it was too close to the bell ringing, and there's a certain time in between the bell ringing and you being able to leave, and I was cutting it pretty close, so I decided to stay.
Okay.
Moments later, after I texted my mom and said, I'm going to stay, it's too short, we heard the fire alarm go off.
Okay.
When we heard the fire alarm go off, we exited the room. I grabbed my bag, I grabbed everything, and we made our way outside.
Okay. And where did you go?
We went towards the tennis courts. We walked all the way past the fields, all the way to the other side, right in between Westglades and the Walmart that was right there.
Okay. I'm going to put up State's Exhibit number 1, and take a look at this and see if this, can you see that yet?
Yes.
Does that help you at all?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how to work pick a color and just show from where you were in the 900 building where you went.
I was right here. I don't know if it made a mark.
Now, why don't you pick like the yellow or something?
Okay. I was right here.
Yeah, okay, good.
We came along the side. When we came out, there were so many students standing there, you could barely tell, who was who. We just started walking.
Okay.
When we started walking, we walked along here. As we got we kept walking over here. As we got around over here, we started seeing police. When we saw the police, we started realizing a little bit what was going on, because normal fire drills would have you never saw police around you as much as we started seeing them. We went along all the way here, just about here is when I had turned around and I saw the shooter was standing behind me.
Okay, well, you didn't know who the shooter was at the time, did you?
I had known him since middle school.
Okay.
I just had not known that he had left the school.
Right. So you see him, what happens?
I see him and I turned around and, I hadn't seen him in years. I spent the first 2 years at another school, so my last 2 years were at Stoneman Douglas. Looking back, obviously had no idea. I turned around and I realized he was standing with another friend of mine. When I realized that, we kind of collided in the line, so we became one line. When we became one line, I said hi, he said hi back, and I said, you have any college plans? And he said, somewhere in Florida. At that time, we got filed into one line. He was right behind me. And at that time, I was still trying to find friends of mine. I was on the phone with my mom, hysterically.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, I was going to ask you, remember what he was wearing?
He's wearing a maroon JROTC shirt, and I don't remember the pants. I just saw the top. I never...
Was it a maroon ROTC shirt from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Would you please point him out?
Right there?
The person in the green sweater?
Yes.
Madam Reporter, with the court's permission, would you let the record reflect that Ms. Muccietta identified the defendant, Nicholas Cruz? Okay, and then where did you go? And I'm sorry I pronounced your name wrong.
No, it's Machada.
Machada,
okay.
I'm sorry.
At that point, we were scaling the fence between, the Westglades, basically. When we came out on this end, I turned around and he wasn't there anymore.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions now.
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated. If you would please lean into the microphone and state your full name and spell your last name.
My name is Kyle Allen Lamon.
Spell your last name, please.
Laman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lehman. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well. So, do you go to school?
I do.
Where do you go?
I go to the Emergency Educational Institute, EEI. It's a EMT paramedics class.
Okay. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
And when did you graduate?
In 2021.
I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
I do.
Okay, and specifically, I'd like to ask you about fourth period. Do you remember where you were?
I was in Mr. Ross Piercy's class, or my personalization.
Personalization, where
yeah.
What do you do in personalization? You might as well tell us.
It's like a study hall.
Right.
So just either homework or,
Okay. So, Mr. Lehman, would you tell us what happened during fourth period, please?
During fourth period was just started off as a normal period till the time hit where the fire alarm went off.
Okay.
As soon as the fire alarm went off, we all did normal fire alarm procedures, all go into the hallway where all the classes were. We all stayed there very stationary. I already had a really bad feeling about it because it's not normal for us just to be stationary there. So it was bad, I guess, for me. I felt really weird and anxious and scared. That's when someone said like the building was on fire, and then I was like, nah, that's impossible. So I had a lot of questions in my mind. Then that's when I heard the doors open on the other side, and it was very loud, and everyone's talking and stuff. Then all of a sudden it just goes like silent. And then that's when the screaming happened, and the shots went off. That's when a lot of people, froze up, and I did too. The hallways emptied, for me personally, it emptied super fast. I blinked and everyone was separated, gone, or on the floor. I remember seeing a lot of bodies on the floor. I saw the gunman come out. I saw everything of when the shots went off. I blinked, and then everything just went bad. I started moving left to right, seeing what to do. And then as soon as I went left, I felt like a very strong, I don't really know how to explain it, but like a paintball shot to my right foot. And I didn't even recognize it at the time. I just felt it, and then it went into the cutout to where the bathrooms are. And that's when I saw my friend there. And then Joaquin was there too.
Joaquin Oliver was in the alcove?
I believe so, yeah.
And who was your other friend?
Tyler West.
Tyler West. So it was the three of you in the alcove?
Yes.
Okay. Then what happened?
I realized that I was like, I feel something wet in my foot. I don't know what it is. I look down and I see my ankles blown off to bits, obliterated. I stood there. It felt like an hour just staring at it. I was like, oh my God, what, are you serious? This is happening. I was like, I'm feeling the water. It's like blood, and I'm hearing shots going off. People are screaming. Me and Tyler are terrified. I look at him, and he looks at me. I'm like, we're going to die. What do we do? And I peek around the corner, and I still see the shooters shooting into the classroom. I'm like, I see Joaquin trying to get into the bathroom door, but I know the bathroom doors were locked. But so I told him to stop. We need to figure out a different way to get out. So, but I don't think he really heard me or cared. But at that point, I kind of stopped and trying to look for an alternative method to see if I could leave. So that's when I looked, see if the gunman was shooting. He still was. So I took the opportunity while he stopped, at least for temporarily, and I darted to cover to get closer to the exit. And I managed to, as soon as I started running, I was the only person besides the gunman in the hallway at the time, besides the bodies that were on the floor. He started out, since I was running, he targeted me, started shooting at me. I remember hitting the wall, and as soon as I hit the wall, I could see debris from the walls of at least 4 to 5 rounds coming off of the wall. So they aimed at me. I'm assuming it was like, oh my God. As soon as it did that, the shooting stopped, and then I don't know. I can't really recall how long I was in that little covert for at the second time, but I managed to, as soon as he stopped shooting, again, run and exit. The first door I tried was on the very left. wouldn't open. And that was...
When you're saying the door on the left, you're talking about the two doors that lead into the west stairwell?
Correct.
Okay, so the one closest...
The one closest to me,
okay,
under the east side, it wouldn't open. And so, obviously I went to the next one,
right,
and I managed to escape.
Okay.
Ran down the 3 flights of stairs and managed to leave.
Okay, and where did you run to?
I ran towards the football field.
Okay, and did you finally get did you hear anything when you were running on the football field?
On the football field, yeah, I heard shots.
Okay, and then did you finally get to safety?
I did, inside of a locker room.
Okay, let me show you. States 24C for identification.
That's me.
Is that you in the yellow circle?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to offer 24C.
Is there any objection?
No.
States 24C as in Charlie for identification will be received as states 82.
Now, Mr. Lehman, I want to show you State's Exhibit 82. Is that you right there?
Correct.
In the yellow circle?
Yes.
Okay. And I want to show you now 3 exhibits. Before I do that, could you describe what happened to your leg, your ankle? I mean, what kind of treatment did you have for it?
Treatment?
You can answer.
I had around like 5 to 6 surgeries.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me show you State's Exhibit marked 14Z for identification. You recognize that? And who is that?
That's me.
Is that you at the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 4S. Is that?
Yes.
What is that?
That's my foot.
Is that your foot? Okay. And how about State's Exhibit 4B?
Yes.
Okay. And what are they doing there?
So that was a skin graft to repair my whole ankle. They took skin from my right, or no, sorry, they put skin from my left and then muscle and whatever necessary on my right to replace all the missing stuff that I lost. Basically repaired so I could have some function for later in the future so I could at least walk.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to offer State's Exhibit 4S, 4V, and 4Z.
Earlier you said 14.
Did I?
So just to clear, yes, it's 4. This one says 14Z. Is that?
Whatever.
Okay, so there's, just for the record, there's 4 S's in Sam, 4V like Victor, and then 14Z like zebra.
What did I say?
Well, you said 14, then you said 4, so I just wanted to make sure this wasn't marked improperly.
No, whatever is there is
Okay.
correct.
Is there any objection? We're going to need you to lean in a bit more, and speak as loudly as you can.
Okay.
And please tell me your full name and then spell your last name for the record.
My full name is Isabel Checker. My last name is spelled Chequer.
Good afternoon, Ms. Checker. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. So, do you go to school?
Yes, I go to UCF in Orlando.
Okay, and what year are you in?
I am a senior, so I graduate soon.
Okay. And did you go to high school somewhere?
Yes, I went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida.
Okay, and how many years did you go before you graduated?
I went all 4 years.
Okay, so I'd like to call your attention to Wednesday, February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember where you were during fourth period?
Yes, I was in room 1214, Miss Seamus's History of the Holocaust class.
Okay, let me show you. Can you see that, Ms. Checker? Okay.
Yes, now I can.
Okay. And do you know how to work the...
Do I just use my fingers?
Yeah, we just hit a color.
Just wait till the colors
Well, it comes
on
up.
the screen.
Okay.
Now they're up.
Okay. Yes, I see.
Yeah.
Should I circle my class?
Yeah, please. Okay, so that's 1214, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's your fourth period.
Yes.
And it's Ms. Seamus's class, you said, Holocaust History?
Yes.
Okay. So during fourth period, Ms. Checker, please tell us what happened.
Okay, so that day we had been doing group presentations. So at the very beginning of class, we were finishing those presentations up. And then afterwards, we moved into a computer program called Eyewitness, where we would do, it's like a program where we read about the Holocaust and like history about it. And that day specifically, we were talking about the Olympics that took place. And so we were in the middle of doing work on the computer while also doing like listening to a lecture with Ms. Seamus. It was kind of open-ended discussion. And all of a sudden we heard, I think I heard like about 3 or 4 shots. And I immediately recognized what it was. And the whole classroom kind of just went into like flight mode. We went into different corners of the classroom. So I went, I believe, with a couple of other students to the corner that's directly across from the door. But I soon realized that it was in direct view of the window in the door. So I then moved to the corner that's diagonal from the door, which is where about, I think, half the class was, whereas the other half of the class went to the area, the corner next to the door, which was behind the desk. It was like not in view of the door. And so from there, at some point when I got to the corner diagonal from the door, that's when I got behind the filing cabinet that a couple of students had moved. And I think sometime during my movement is when I was grazed twice. I'm not exactly sure when. And then from there, we just kind of hid behind the filing cabinet and waited. And I was around a couple of other students, 2 of which I noticed, one of which I noticed was injured almost immediately, and another,
Who was that?
That was Samantha Fuentes. Her face was bleeding, and we were all kind of freaking out a little bit. And then afterwards, another student next to me, that was like, because we were kind of squished in the area, was complaining about a pain in her back, and that was Daniela Menescal, and she ended up also being injured that day.
Who was that?
Daniela Menescal.
Okay.
I don't know how long the time passed, but during it, we were just kind of, I tried calling 911 at one point, but my call never went through. And then while we were waiting for what seemed like a really long time, but again, I don't really know how long it was. I think it was a lot shorter. That was when I looked over, like to the right of me, which was more where the corner was, since I was a little bit further from the corner.
Just don't worry about that. We'll be
Okay. I saw Helena, like I noticed that she had passed away. And then shortly after that, I began to freak out a little bit, but we were all just trying to calm each other down, as other students were realizing too. And then eventually, the police came, and they they asked us to put our hands up, and they took the wounded first, but I went to find my friend who was on the corner of the class where the desk was, Miss Seamus's desk. She was on that side of the class.
Right.
And when I got up, that's also when I noticed the other student who had passed away in our class, Nicholas.
When you were saying Helena, you're talking about Helena Ramsey?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And did you see Samantha Grady? Was she in your class too?
Yeah, but I didn't see her. I don't remember seeing her.
Okay. How about Nicholas Durrett?
Yes, I saw him when the police asked us to get up and put our hands up. I turned back, and that's when I saw him.
Okay. And you were wounded?
Yes, I was.
And where were you wounded?
I was grazed on my right foot and on my left arm.
I'm sorry?
My right foot and my left arm.
Thank you.
Okay. Your Honor, I want to show defense counsel.
Good afternoon. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay, thank you. You can go ahead and sit down and put your hand down. Put your hand down and sit down. If you would please lean into the microphone when you're speaking and state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Madeline Wilford, Wilford.
Good morning, Miss Wilford. How are you?
Good.
Good. Are you going to school?
I am.
Where do you go to school?
Southern Utah University. I'll be a junior this upcoming year.
Okay. Where did you go to high school?
Stoneman Douglas.
And did you graduate from Stoneman Douglas?
Yes.
What year did you graduate?
2019.
Okay. I'd like to call your attention to February the 14th, 2018. Do you remember that date?
Yes.
I'd like to call your attention specifically to the fourth period of that day. Were you in school?
Yes.
And where were you during fourth period?
I was in AP Psychology.
With Miss Riogan?
Correct.
And was that classroom 1213?
Yes.
Okay, could you tell us what happened?
We were just going about class like normal, and we heard shots. It took us a second to realize what was happening, but when they were fired off again is when we started to move and hide. I was stuck between the teacher's desk and her podium, and then I was just hiding until I felt myself get hit. I didn't know how many times. I just knew I was hit, and I tried looking behind me to see if anyone could help me, but all I saw was blood on the floor. So I just kind of turned around, and when the fire alarm went off, I also thought that hopefully they knew what was going on and so that they were coming soon, but I ended up passing out.
Okay.
And then
What's the next thing you remember after you passed out?
I was in and out of consciousness until I fully woke up that Thursday night, Friday morning.
Okay. And so, do you know what happened to you?
Yes.
What happened to you?
I was shot 4 times in my right arm, my right lung, some of my ribs on my right side, and I had surgery on my abdomen.
Okay. And how many surgeries have you had?
3.
3. Are there any after effects from your surgeries?
Thankfully, I had a great orthopedic surgeon, so I'm able to use my hand, but I still do have trouble breathing with my lung.
Okay. Okay. And you passed out. You didn't remember how you got out of the classroom. Is that correct?
I briefly remember hearing the responders, but I mean, I didn't really and I remember being in the ambulance, but I don't remember much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wilford. Your Honor, I have no further questions.